Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here. If you played fantasy football before, then you likely know what a running back handcuff is. The idea is simple, right? You draft the backup in case the starter gets hurt, and if he does get hurt, maybe have fantasy gold on your hands. 20 years ago, 25 years ago, this was a strategy in heavy rotation, but in today's NFL, we know it's a different league. Far more pass heavy. We're seeing a lot more running back by committee situations where there are two-headed or even three-headed monsters. So today, fantasy football-wise, I don't know if drafting the handcuff is always the best strategy. In a lot of instances, some of these deeper handcuffs, you're just going to cut them anyway, right? You're going to cut them in week 3, week 4. They often don't stick around on the roster. But there are some premium handcuffed options who have independent value. So I want to give you 5 handcuffs who are worth your time in 2019 fantasy football drafts. And when I say a premium handcuff, what I mean is these guys can actually have fantasy value on their own, and then if the starter goes down, they could be instant top 15 or better options. So let's start in Seattle with Rashad Penny. Of course, Chris Carson is the guy. He's the lead back there. We saw what he was able to do last year, and a lot of that was based on volume. But let's not forget, Rashad Penny was a first-round pick last year, and he did well when given the opportunity. So if Carson, who hasn't been the picture of health throughout his career, does get hurt, Penny could step right in. We're also hearing positive reports out of Seattle. Penny in better shape, Penny getting with the program, so to speak. This guy has major upside in one of the run-heaviest offenses in the league. He has independent value of Chris Carson, but if Carson goes down, Penny could be a stud this year. So he's a premium handcuff. How about Latavius Murray? We've seen him be a premium handcuff in the past in Minnesota. He provided some value there. Of course, now he's in New Orleans. Mark Ingram's gone, right? Mark Ingram's in Baltimore. Alvin Kamara locked and loaded as the top back. And while Latavius Murray is a step down from Mark Ingram, he's still in a premium position in an offense that is going to produce a lot, and it's not like Alvin Kamara's a 25 touch per game guy. So Murray's going to be worked in. He has that independent value where he's not just a pure handcuff. But if Kamara goes down, which could happen, all of a sudden Latavius Murray, it may be hard to argue that he's not a top 12 or maybe even a top 10 guy in that offense if Alvin Kamara goes down. So he's a premium handcuff. How about Darryl Henderson? And I got to be honest with you. I am not 100% convinced when I record this video right here in June that Darryl Henderson is the clear handcuff to Todd Gurley. But I'm not saying he isn't as well. Malcolm Brown is still there, and Darryl Henderson, you know, what he has, is he going to be one of those pass-catching backs? Is he going to be a guy whose role doesn't change if Todd Gurley got hurt? Or is he a guy who can slide right into Todd Gurley's shoes and command a lot of touches in a very potent offense? So while I'm not 100% convinced, I still am identifying Henderson as a premium handcuff. I think ultimately he does emerge as that handcuff option there. And as we know with Todd Gurley, he isn't the picture of health entering the 2019 season. So Darryl Henderson, a lot of upside, a lot of juice in that offense, a premium handcuff for sure. We'll dig a little bit deeper for the last two. How about Royce Freeman? And you know, I feel for Royce Freeman, at least for fantasy purposes, he emerges a bit of a darling in August of last year for fantasy drafts. But it ultimately wasn't him, right? It was Philip Lindsay who ended up bursting onto the scene as an undrafted free agent, and now he enters this season as the lead dog in that backfield. But I don't think we can just write off Royce Freeman at this point. Lindsay had offseason wrist surgery, but he should be fine. But like I said, he'll be the lead dog. That being said, Royce Freeman has a 3-down skill set. He has the ability, you know, like, to catch the ball out of the backfield, to run between the tackles, and to give as much pop in that offense potentially as Philip Lindsay. So that's worth noting there, that this might even be more of a committee situation. And if Lindsay went down, then all of a sudden Royce Freeman, he becomes a very interesting top 20 option at the position. We saw what Lindsay was able to do last year as well in that committee situation. Finally, let's go with Deonte Foreman. If you followed me for a long time, you know I'm not particularly high on Lamar Miller, and it's fine. It is what it is. Lamar Miller kind of typifies the safe running back for fantasy purposes for me. And you know, safe, really doesn't win you fantasy championships. You can safely finish 4th or 3rd in your league, but you're probably not going to win with all safe players. So fine and dandy with Lamar Miller. He is the lead back, but Deonte Foreman was coming on 2 years ago before tearing that Achilles, and that's the big issue here. Can he get beyond the Achilles tear? Because that is a tough injury to come back from. Fortunately, he is quite young. We know he was uber productive at the college level. This guy has a 2,000-yard rushing season under his belt, and he was, as I said, coming on 2 years ago. So if he can fully get back into the mix, he's going to eat into Lamar Miller's workload this season. And potentially, if Lamar Miller goes down, then Foreman could be in store for a healthy workload in a potent Texans offense. That's worth a late-round dart for sure in fantasy drafts this year. If you want to see the rest of the handcuffs, we have a great feature over at Pro Football Focus. It's called the Handcuff Index. It's not just running backs, handcuffs for every single position for fantasy purposes, so that way you know if a starter goes down, who you should run out and pick up off waivers. You can check that out, of course, over at ProFootballFocus.com.